A long time ago in the land of Israel, there was a woman named Naomi. She lived in the town of Bethlehem with her husband Elimelech and their two sons Mahlon and Chilion. Life in Bethlehem has always been good, but one year a great famine spread across the land. Food became scarce and hunger filled the streets. Naomi and Elimelech were worried. They looked at their sons, and their faces were filled with hunger, and they knew they could not stay in Bethlehem. There was no food, no work, and no way to survive. So with a heavy heart, they made a decision to leave their home and travel to the land of Moab, a foreign country where they hoped to find food and a new life. And so they set out on a journey. It was long, tiring, but eventually they arrived in Moab. The land was very different from Bethlehem, as Naomi observed. The people worshipped false gods, but Naomi and their family made a home over there. Over time, things began to look brighter. Elimelech and Naomi's sons grew into strong young men, and soon both sons married Moabite women. Mahlon married a kind and gentle woman named Ruth, and Chilion married Orpah, a woman of grace and beauty. For a while, Naomi was happy. She thought she was far from home. However, she and her husband and her sons, and now two daughter-in-laws, brought joy into her life. But then tragedy struck. Elimelech, Naomi's husband, fell sick. Naomi sat by his side, holding his hand and praying that he would get better. But one day, he took his last breath, and Naomi was left a widow. Her heart was broken, but she had sons to take care of her. Sorrow was not yet finished with Naomi. Her two sons also passed after a brief illness. Naomi could hardly believe it. She had lost her husband, and now both of her sons were gone. Her heart felt like a heavy stone, and the joy she once had was replaced with deep sorrow. She was now a widow in a foreign land with no sons to protect or care for her. But even in her grief, Naomi was not alone. Ruth and Orpah stayed by her side, weeping with her, comforting her, and caring for her. Days turned into weeks, and weeks into months, but Naomi's heart longed for home. She heard that the famine in Bethlehem was over, that God had once again blessed the land with food. And so she made a decision. She would return to Bethlehem. She called Ruth and Orpah to her and said, "My daughters, you have been kind to me. You have loved my sons, and you have cared for me in my sorrow. But I have nothing left to offer you. I am old, and I have no other sons to give you as husbands. Return to your families," she said. "Find new husbands, build new lives, and may the Lord bless you as you have blessed me." Orpah and Ruth both wept at Naomi's words. They had grown to love her deeply, and the thought of leaving her was painful. But Naomi shook her head. "My daughters, I have no future to offer you. If you stay with me, you will only share in my sorrow. Go home." Orpah hesitated. She looked at Naomi and then at Ruth, and with tears streaming down her face, she kissed Naomi goodbye and turned back towards her homeland. But Ruth stood firm. She took Naomi's hands in her own and looked into her eyes. "Do not ask me to leave you or turn back," she said. "Where you will go, I will go. Where you stay, I will stay. Your people will be my people. Your God will be my God. Where you die, I will die, and there I will be buried. May the Lord punish me if anything but death separates us." Naomi saw the love and determination in Ruth's eyes. Ruth would not leave her, and so together the two women set out for Bethlehem. The journey was long, but at last they arrived. Though Naomi was heartbroken, Ruth wasted no time. They had no food, no money, and no one to care for them. So Ruth did what she could. She went out into the fields to gather grain. Now, in those days, God had commanded the Israelites to leave some of the grain in the fields for the poor and the widows. Ruth, being poor and also a widow, went to gather what she could. What she did not know was that the field she chose belonged to a man named Boaz, a noble and a kind-hearted man. Boaz noticed Ruth right away. He saw how hard she worked, how she bent down over and over again to pick up fallen grain, how she did not rest even in the heat of the day. He asked his co-workers, "Who is this young woman?" They replied, "She is Ruth, the Moabite woman who came back with Naomi. She has been working hard all day." Boaz was moved by Ruth's loyalty and hard work. He approached her and said, "My daughter, do not go to any other field. Stay here with my workers. Drink from the water jars, and I will make sure you are safe." Ruth was surprised. "Why are you so kind to me?" she asked Boaz. Boaz smiled and said, "I have heard all that you have done for Naomi. May the Lord reward you for your kindness." When Ruth returned home that evening, she told Naomi everything that had happened. Naomi's eyes lit up with hope and excitement. Boaz is one of our family redeemers. In Israel, a family redeemer was a relative who could marry a widow and restore her family's name. Naomi came up with a plan. Tonight, Boaz will be at the threshing floor. Go to him, uncover his feet, and he will tell you what to do. That night, Ruth did as Naomi said. When Boaz awoke and saw Ruth, she said, "Spread the corner of your garment over me, for you are a family redeemer." Boaz was deeply moved. "You have shown great kindness, Ruth. I will do all that you have asked. But there is another relative who has the right to redeem you before me. I will speak to him tomorrow." The next day, Boaz gathered the elders of the town and spoke to the other relative, but the man did not want to take responsibility. And so Boaz declared before everyone, "I will redeem Ruth, and I will take her as my wife." And so, in a joyful ceremony, Boaz and Ruth were married, and in time God blessed them with a son, Obed. Naomi's heart was once again filled with joy and gratitude to God. Little did they know that their son Obed would be the grandfather of King David, and from their family line, many generations later, would come Jesus Christ, the Savior of the world. And so the story of Ruth is not just a story of love and redemption. It's a story of God's faithfulness, proving that even in our darkest moments, He is always working for our good. I hope you enjoyed this. Like and subscribe for more.